It's a lovely evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Modern Tapechera Sinkala, aka Mwana wa Kwilanzi. Well, this is the Chipolo Polo week because this Thursday, Zambia will be taking on Lesotho at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in the AFCON qualifiers. And also, the young ones, the under 23, will be taking on Egypt already as we are talking. They are in Egypt now to take on Egypt in the under 23 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. The last team which qualified was the team involving Fashion Sakala, Patson Daka, Enoch Mwepu, but they didn't do well at the tournament. So we are hoping this time they must qualify, do well, and go to the Olympics. Remember, Zambia last went to the Olympics in 1988. That's the male team. Of course, the female team was competing at the 2021 Olympic Games, the Copper Queens. And talking about the Copper Queens, that's the special guest that I have. I have the assistant coach for the Copper Queens. I won't mention the name now, but stay glued because I'll be introducing the guest later on. So feel free to participate on the program through the numbers that will be displayed on the screen. You can call on 0211 25 08 43 or 0211 25 30 25. On WhatsApp, it's 0955 20 29 04. If you are into Facebook, you can go to Sports Hub Facebook page. You'll find a post where we've posted the guests for today. Then you leave your comment there. You leave your message depending on what you want to say or whether you want to answer the question that we'll be giving you. Or you can also go to Modern Sinkala Sports. Go there, like the page or follow the page. Then we'll be interacting. All right. So today we want to have what's trending in sports because we want to give more time to our guest today. Obviously, she has a lot of things to say today. So let's recap on last week's question. I asked you to identify a sportsman on the photo. And let's see the responses that we have so far. So this message says, good evening, Modern. The picture you showed on the screen, the name is Beston Chambeshi, former under-20 coach. That's from Shadrach Siame of Chawama. All right. Shadrach of Chawama, thank you very much for this response. Then there's this also message. This one says, but why are they lying to people when they are playing at Bola Nalesa? Let them stop hypocrisy. That's why Valapwana Bwangu. Our players trust much in Wanga. They don't believe in themselves. Simwambwa from Iteji. Right. Interesting message there. Remember last time we were talking about how players would not use the dressing room and the way Lumwana Radiance would jump from the offense to go into the pitch. And just the past weekend we saw the Nchanga Rangers players also not using the dressing room when they played in Kwazi at Edwin Imbwela Stadium. So this trend looks like it has continued. So that's why Simwambwa is saying, why do these players believe in Juju so much? So, well, let's review the answer. So Baba Shadrach Siame is very correct. The answer is Beston Chambeshi, who is a former Nkana player, now coach. He's also a former under-20 and senior national team coach. Born on April 4, 1960, Chambeshi played club football for Nkana and also represented Zambia at the 1988 Summer Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea. So that's Beston Quicksilver Chambeshi. So in case you didn't know, now you know. So that's Amabe. Others call him Amabe. He was a little bit younger there in the Nkana jersey. Right, he looked very handsome. Very handsome. So today I have another photo for you. I want you to identify this sportsman on the photo. Jersey number 5. Obviously, a lot of memories for those who are watching football in the 90s. I'm sure you remember. Well, if you want, you can give me both names, but just number 5 will be enough if you can give me the name of number 5. But if you can give me both players there, then it will be a bonus. I'll be waiting to hear from you. How much do you know Zambian sports and those football legends? They've achieved something in Zambian football. So I'll be waiting to hear from you. The number to call us on is 0211 25 30 25 or 0211 25 08 43. On WhatsApp is 0955 20 29 04. On Facebook, go to Sports Hub Facebook page or Modern Sinkala Sports. Let's look at some of the results from the weekend. We start with the MTN Super League. Week 27 results. On Saturday, it was Muza 0, Kansanshi Dynamos 1. Muza losing at home, it was quite strange indeed. Muza rarely loses at home. So the goal was scored by Benson Charlie in the 47th minute. Green Eagles 0, Green Buffaloes 0. This was the battle of the Greens. Lumwana Radiance 1, Chambishi 0. Josephat Kasusu scoring the only goal in the 71st minute. Napsa Stars 5, Buildcon 0. This was a real massacre. Adam Zikiri with a brace, Msondaka Pembwa a brace, and Aaron Njov 1 goal and Aaron Kabwe 1 goal. So that's what happened. Then Power Dynamos 0, Zanaco 0, Prison Leopards 0, Forest Rangers 0, Red Arrows 0, Nkana 1. Our ready recording a score. This was also a battle of the Reds, but the Red team from Musakili in Kitwe won away from home at Nkoloma Stadium. Jacob Ngulube scoring the only goal in the 69th minute. On Sunday, Nkwazi beat Nchanga Rangers by 2-1. So Nchanga Rangers, despite not using the dressing room, they went on to lose this game by 2-1. They scored first though, but Nkwazi scored 2 quick goals in 2 minutes. Wow, what a game it was. Then Zesco United 1, Kawe Warriors 0. This is a game which involved, 2 coaches which were coaching the other teams. Then they swapped. So George Randam was with Kawe Warriors, went back to Zesco United. Then Numba Mumambos with Zesco United went to Kawe Warriors. So what an interesting game it was, but Zesco won by a 0. Let's go to the second tier, which is the first National Division 1 League Week 27 results. On Saturday, it was Mufulira Wanderers 3, Livingston Pirates 1. So Mufulira Wanderers closing the gap on top of the table as they follow Trident closely. Only 2 points separating the two teams. Indeni 1, Mutondo Stars 2, Kito United 2, Lusaka Dynamos 0. Lusaka Dynamos looks like they'll be going to National Division, Provincial Division 1 League. Then Kitwe United, Kafue Eagles 1, Trident 0. Maxwell Manya scoring the only goal through a penalty. This is a game that we showed on TV3. Ian Kabambanya spilling that ball, which resulted in Kafue Eagles winning that game. Then Aguila Stars 2, Kafue Celtic 1. Then on Sunday it was Atletico Lusaka 4, Young Green Buffaloes 1. What a shocker, really, what a shocker. Young Green Buffaloes have been doing very well in the recent past, but for them losing by such a big margin is a shocker. Zesco Malaiti Rangers 0, Bats FC 0, Mpulungu Haba 1, Jumulo 0, Konkola Blades 1, City of Lusaka 0. So these were the results from the weekend in the first National Division 1 League. Let's now go to the Women's Super League Week 27 results. On Saturday it was Green Eagles 0, Queen's Sports Academy 0, Indeni Roses 1, Zescondola Girls 2. This was a battle of the two Ndola teams, so it was a Ndola derby. National Assembly 1, Elite Ladies 1, Somara Mapepa can't stop scoring. Then Play It Forward, Queens 0 and Police Stabs 3, Trident Queens 2, Mufulira Wanderers 0. And Yasa Queens 1, Green Buffaloes, the league leaders 0. This one was also a shocking result. Yasa Queens beating Green Buffaloes. Imbo Isha Katapa Green Buffaloes. Then on Sunday it was Red Arrows 2, Prison Leopards 1, Busa Queens 0, Zanaco 0. So the coach we are bringing today comes from Zanaco. I'm sure by now you know who we are bringing. ZISD 0, Nkwazi 0. Then today there was a game involving Police Doves and Play It Forward. This game was played today and it ended 2-2. Let's go to the CAF Champions League. On Friday, it was Almerek 1, ES Tunis 1, Cotton Sport nil, Al Ahly 4, Belouizdad 2, Zamalek nil. That was on Friday. Then on Saturday, it was Vita Club nil, Wydad Casablanca nil, Al Hilal Omdurman 1, Mamelodi Sundowns 1, Vipers 1, Raja Casablanca 1, Simba FC 7, Horoya nil. And Simba, this is where Cletus Chama plays, and he scored a hat-trick. So I'm sure he's reserved another hat-trick for Lesotho come this Thursday. So it was Simba 7, Horoya nil. JS Kabylie 1, Petro de Luanda nil. So those were the results in the CAF Champions League. Let's end with the English Premier League results, week 28. On Friday, it was Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 2. On Saturday, it was Aston Villa 3, Bournemouth nil, Brentford 1, Leicester City 1, Southampton 3, Tottenham Hotspur 3, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Leeds United 4, Chelsea 2, Everton 2. Then Arsenal demolished Crystal Palace by 4-1. Then in the English FA Cup quarterfinals, on Saturday, it was Manchester City 6, Burnley nil. Sunday, it was Sheffield United 3, Blackburn Rovers 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 5, Grimsby Town nil, Manchester United 3, Fulham nil. So in the semi-finals, we'll be able to see Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Manchester United at 16 hours on Saturday, 22nd April 2023, and Manchester City versus Sheffield United on the same day at 16 hours. So interesting games that will be coming up in the FA Cup. Right, so those were the results from the weekend. So before I introduce my guests, let's dance to a song done by 1J, and this one is titled Vuvuzela. Take note of the people who feature in that song, because one of them is my guest tonight.
Zambia tukoni chachine umva vuvuzela chachine soli wa chisungu chachine kulumba wa Zambia wanulavu opponentina lala chachine kipa na shipula chachine nasi mkimana chachine seni tubalonge chachine Zambia balange ea bora 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 Zambia balange ea bora
Right, so that's Vuvuzela. 1J with that Vuvuzela. It was the Chipolopolo anthem in 2012, if you remember. It was playing everywhere. And by that time, Zambia was doing very well and ended up winning the trophy in 2012. And did you pay attention to that video? My guest for tonight is Florence Mwila, and she is a football coach. She started with volleyball, later on went into coaching, has coached under 17, and now is with the senior team, the Copper Queens, and also ZANACO Ladies Football Club. So let's welcome Florence Mwila, and also an award winner. She's fresh from winning an award. Congratulations for winning that award.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're most welcome. You feel free to take your seat there.
Thank you.
Right. So first things first, let's start with your names first. What's your name? So others say Florence Nkatia, others say Florence Mwila, Florence, what's the other name?
Chalesa.
Chalesa, yes, yes. So what's your name?
My name is Nkatia Florence Mwila, now Mrs. Chalesa. So Nkatia is my first name, Florence is my middle name, but Florence is the one that has been known by most of the people because for some reasons people feel they fail to pronounce Nkatia. Yes, so it's now a household name just at home. Nkatia, you only find it at home, or people that have known me from way back. When you hear somebody calling me Nkatia, then they know me from way back. Those that know me now only use Florence.
Florence,
yes.
Right, okay. So give us your background. When were you born, where, and how was your childhood like?
Okay, I was born in 1986 in Livingstone, and on Sunday next week is my birthday, 26th of March.
We'll bring a cake.
Please, you should. I love cake. Growing up, I was just a sports child. By the way, I was an athlete. Almost adopted by Green Buffaloes when I was in grade 7. That was somewhere in 1998. I was at Kalingalinga Primary School. I was a short distance runner. I think I did races from 100 meters to 1,500, and I was #1 in all of them. I had a very small body.
Interesting. I remember seeing you were very tiny.
Yes, I was very tiny by then and very good at that. But because I just sports is in my blood. I know some people that know me from way back. They are looking at me and they're like, "Ish, you still continue the sports." Like sports is in my blood. So growing up, other than running, I played netball. I played football, but then in my younger days, netball was my favorite. Then I moved from netball, played a bit of football. Then in secondary school, I went to Kablonga Girls. So at Kablonga Girls, I participated in all sports. So especially the 4 main sports, that's netball, football, volleyball, and basketball. So in school, netball was #1 and athletics. Then I started playing football in Mutendere at Mahatma Gandhi ground.
Wow.
Yes, I remember almost being chased at home by my aunt because I would reach home late. I always went to play football. I just loved being in sports and all those things. So I started playing at Mahatma Gandhi. Then I moved from Helen Kaunda, where I used to stay. I went to Bowlen, and that was in 2000. So in 2000, I started playing football in Bowlen. Then stopped for a year because I became pregnant then. I had my first child then. I was still at school and I was still in grade 9. Yeah, then I still went back to play football after delivery. I started playing when my baby was very young. So I went back to playing football. Then it was just football then and netball at school. Then I was introduced to EduSport that time in 2002. So EduSport got my story and they started sponsoring me at school. And I became a peer leader and trained in aerobics and basic football coaching, because what they used to do then was if you're playing in the main team, they train you and you start a junior team. So my first team to coach when I was in grade 10 was the likes of Helen Mubanga. Yes.
So you started coaching at a young age,
yes.
As young as in grade 10?
Yes, I started coaching in grade 10. Then one day at school, I was the captain for the netball team. So one day at school, we were going for training because we had the games over the weekend. Then I just saw the volleyballers training. So I told myself, I asked the girls, "Perekan mabola." Then I went to join. So I found them standing in a line. Then the teacher spiked with no knowledge. I just picked it up like that, and he was impressed.
Oh.
he was impressed. He was like, "Wow, you're not going." And I also liked it. So I didn't even go for netball that week. That very day, it was a Wednesday, I remember very well, and we're going for games on a Saturday. I trained with them on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I found myself in the first team.
You are part of the team?
Yes!
Wow.
I found myself in the first team. I even put netball aside. So I played that very first day on the weekend when I featured in that game. I was selected for the provincial team.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
I was selected for the provincial team. So that was 2004. Then continued playing volleyball. It became my favorite sport. I let go of all these other sports and just concentrated on volleyball and sometimes netball. But then, unfortunately, while I was still playing football after school, that's at Bowlen, I got injured. When we were playing our league against Chilenje, it was a bad one when Bowlen meets Chilenje, because these were teams where both teams had siblings playing together. So when you injure this one, the sibling comes in, it's a fight. It used to be a fight. The Massiers, yes,
yes, Massie,
Kape, yes, that's the intake that we played. So I got injured terribly. I still have that knee injury up to now. So that led me not to continue, because I think if it wasn't for the knee injury, I'll still be playing because I loved playing.
What was your position?
I was a striker because of my speed,
Yeah,
because of the athletics, yes. So I was a striker, yes. So in fact, it happened, I think, 3 days when I went for my first national team trials, which were happening at the showgrounds that time when there was only Barclays football
Sports
club.
complex.
Yes, and the football club for the ladies, there was Barclays that time. So I just trained one day, in fact on a Friday. Then the following day we had our league games when we were told to come back the following week. So I got injured and never went back.
So that's how
I missed
to go for the trials.
Yes, that's how I missed out. So after that injury, I didn't let it heal. You know, the excitement of you being young, you just want to play. And I see it now in the girls that I coach. I see it now. You can see that they're not well, but they still want to push to play. Just that love that they have for the sport. So that's what led me to even let go of these sports like netball. I still continue to play netball though. I still continued playing netball. Basketball, I stopped. I didn't really like basketball, but I can play. I actually have a coaching certificate in basketball as well. Then I moved from there. The injury was consistent. It kept happening. So at school, I remember the headmistress at school at Kablonga Girls, 2005 when I was in grade 12. The headmistress just called the teachers and said, I am tired of paying hospital bills for one girl. Does it mean the whole school does not have any other people that can participate? I don't want to see her. Because it was like, this weekend I've gone with football. When we come back on Monday, I have to go to the hospital because the leg has started. The following week, it's netball. I have to go to the hospital because this person is injured. So she said, no, this is too much. We can't have one girl going to the hospital every week. Does it mean the whole school doesn't have people that can participate in sports? So what we did was, with my volleyball coach, we just agreed I would just sneak in and then go and play. Yes, and go and play. We, as Kablonga girls...
And when you get injured, you don't report.
You don't even report. you just buy the painkillers and just have a bandage on it. So I remember the time that I was told not to participate, we were selected as Kablonga girls to participate in the Zava tournament that included the clubs and the schools. And it was our first one, and it was a big one for us. So I went and I participated. So that very year, when I was picked to participate in the provincial team, they also picked me in the national team, that the Kosasa team, the volleyball team. Though I didn't make the final team that represented Zambia, but I was part of it, and our coach was Vesachiwe, our team manager. Yes.
Okay, and Vesa was also in volleyball.
Volleyball, yes. So she was our coach that time, yes. Then moving forward, I developed a love for volleyball, such that after school, I joined Red Arrows. I played for Red Arrows. With football, I'd lost some interest. Yeah. Then I joined Red Arrows. Then in 2008, I don't know if you remember an organization called SCORE, Sports Coaches Outreach.
Yes.
So you apply and you go as a volunteer on an exchange program. So I'd applied in 2018. In 2018, I couldn't make it because 2008. I couldn't make it because the time that they called us for interviews, I had also interviews to go to. I was going to Japan with EduSport to represent the organization at the IWG, which is the International Working Group for Women in Sport. Yes. So I participated in that program. I was sharing out my story as one of the speakers. The person that was supposed to go then was Annie Namkanga, but then she was heavily pregnant, so she couldn't travel. So that's when I went on her behalf in 2008. So I missed the interviews for SCORE because I went for the Japanese visa interviews. So they said, no, there's no excuse, you've missed out, and that's how I left it. The following year I applied. In 2007, and I was picked. Then I was...
the following year should have been 2009.
2009.
Yes.
2009. Actually, that was 2007. Then now I went in 2008. Okay. So I was picked in 2008 because I worked for a year. So I was placed in Namibia. So I stayed in Namibia for a year, 2008 to 2009. So in Namibia, I don't know, I've got this strong character that the first time people meet me will just see that leadership in me, and I thank God for that. Because when we went, before they had placed us, so what they do is when you are selected, you all meet in South Africa for like a month of training. So when we were training, they decided to give me a new town in Namibia where SCORE was not I was to introduce SCORE to that town. Because of how we lived while we were in South Africa. So I was actually told afterwards to say, we had to swap you, to say you seem to have a strong character and you'll be able to start up a program and it would stand. And thank God it's standing up to now. So I was in Marento. It's in the south of Namibia. So that's where I went. In that town, I started a volleyball team for students. And there's a tournament that they call a SCORE national tournament. So my students participated and they came out third. It was the first time that they were playing volleyball in their lives.
Wow.
Yes. And they really did well, and I'm happy that some of them up to now we still get in touch. They're playing club volleyball at the national team in Namibia. And yeah, so that's how much I loved volleyball. So coming back to Zambia, when I came back, I found that volleyball wasn't doing well and Red Arrows team was shaken, and that's how I let it go. So I continued working at EduSport. So when I worked there at EduSport, then I was offered a job at Breakthrough Chiparamba Sports Academy as the programs manager. So that's where I moved to. So when I moved to Breakthrough, I would find myself in FAS meetings, and I would coach the BCSA girls just here and there, helping Coach Kaunda, who is now my assistant coach at ZANACO. Then there's a program called Street Football. It's a FIFA program, so it supports organizations in different countries helping the less privileged children. So in Zambia, we had 3 organizations that are affiliated to street football. That was Busa, by then KK Foundation, Breakthrough itself, and Kalim Sports. So those teams formed up a team. A team called Team Zambia, and that team participated at the World Cup in South Africa in 2010. So I had the privilege to be part of that team, Team Zambia, that went to South Africa during the World Cup 2010. So when we came back, I developed some interest again in football.
Football?
Yes,
okay.
But I didn't want to be a coach. I wanted to be an instructor. That's what I wanted to do, because I thought I would do well in that area. So when I came back, because we went with, by then, communications manager Eric Mwanza. So when we came back, I called him and I asked him, aren't there any programs for women, coaching and things like that? Then he said, just come through to Football House. We'll find out from the technical director, Hona Janza, by then. So that was now 2011. After we came back, I stayed for some months in 2011. So in 2011, then I went to Football House. That time there was a KNVB level 2 course for the women that was happening. And I asked I was directed to Mr. Janza's office, and then I asked then with Mr. Mtonga as well. So they said, no, yes, we have a program that is coming up, but then it's full. We only needed 20 participants. It's full. Then Mr. Mtonga said, okay, you can get my number. Call me next week. We see maybe something can happen. And you know how God is. For me, to be where I am today and all these opportunities I've had, it's God himself. He has aligned them and designed them in such a way that sometimes how they come, I get shocked, and then I realize that this is his doing. Because when I went, I forgot about it. Then one day I just realized, I'm supposed to call this man. Then I called him and said, come to Football House. When I went to Football House, they looked at the list again. It was already full. But when they looked at the list again, they found out that one of the participants that they had put on that list was actually not a participant. She was coming from Kenya as a co-instructor. So that left room for me.
Wow.
Yes, that left room for me. And so I didn't start from level 1 coaching. I started from level 2.
Okay.
Yes, I started from level 2. And in that level 2, it so happened that when the instructor started teaching, the Dutch instructor, I was like one of the best in class.
Great. Is it the one which was at NAPSA Sports Complex?
No, it was, we were at Top Gear then.
Yes. Okay.
The one that was, they were lodged here at National Assembly Motel. That was level 1. By then I was not even involved in any of the football things.
Okay.
So I was one of the best students in class. That was, and then became the captain of the class. So after that,
who are some of the coaches who were there that time?
So we had, you would even be interested that we had journalist Wezi.
We had attended
and Emily, and Emily
really?
also, yes. So we had Coach Enala. Coach Enala was one of the instructors together with a lady from Kenya. She was a co-instructor. So there was Coach Charity, there was Coach Carol, Coach Naomi. So most of us that are attached to the national team come.
You're coming from that class?
Yes.
Okay.
And then 5 of us were selected, because what happened was that there was the 2 weeks for the ladies, then the following week it was another 2 weeks for the men. So they had separated the classes, but they picked 5 of us to remain and attend in the men's class. So that was myself, Coach Carol, the late Angela, Charity Ntala, and who was the 5th person? Can't remember the 5th person, but there was 5 of us that remained, and so we continued. Actually, Coach Beauty, because then Coach Beauty was also just came back from Netherlands together with Coach Kachinga. Sorry, Coach Kachinga. They had gone to and Coach Tenant Chilumba. So yes, so there was the 5 of us and Coach Beauty. So we remained there. Then that very time, I'd gone with Mr. Janza and Mr. Shambulo.
Mr. Lewis Shambulo.
Yes, we went to Monze, we had a D license, and I was given an opportunity to teach. So that's when it became like I like.
So that's when you got your first coaching license. That time.
That wasn't a license. It was. I didn't even do the D. I just taught the D.
Okay. So how did you get into the national team setup?
Yes. So after that, we came back. Then I was appointed to the under-17. That time, in the Vuvuzela thing that you've seen.
Okay. So that video we were seeing. Okay. So if the director can overlay somewhere towards the end. So there, those players who are there, some of them are now in the senior team.
Yes.
Yes. Right, and obviously I could see the late Angela Sunga. You seem to be very close.
Yes, I actually knew Angela that very time when I went to the coaching course. That's when I knew most of the coaches, and then we became good friends there. Then
so there with Angela Sunga, and you were very tiny.
Yes, very, very tiny. So that the head coach then for the under-17 was Beauty Mwamba. Then Angela was the first assistant, and I was the second assistant at the under-17. So we played Botswana here. We beat them 2-0. That was in 2012. Then we followed them, and then we beat them 5-0. Then we went to Nigeria, where we were booted out of the World Cup qualifier, which was something that wasn't really something that we really expected. So when we came back,
so is that the team which had Helen Mubanga?
Yes.
Mchawaka?
Yes.
Okay.
So Mary Mwakapila. So the name for Mary Mwakapila, the Ratsa name for Mary Mwakapila, it's actually us, the coaches, that gave her that name. So what happened was when we had trials for that under-17 at Independence Stadium. So when Mary was coming for trials, she got involved in an accident. So we named her Ratsa, and she was Moto Kandiwa Ratsa. So that's how she became Ratsa, and she took it up as a nickname, Ratsa. Yes. So when we came back from Nigeria, then the association made some changes with all the technical benches. I think that even published the names in the newspaper. So that's how we didn't find ourselves there. Yeah. Then I decided to just give up on this football thing and the politics involved around.
I remember you went silent at some point. You are not
for 7 years. For 7 years.
What were you doing in that 7 years?
Yes. So while we were in camp with the under-17, I met the late Mr. Mumba, Thomas Mumba Hockey. He was teaching at leagues. So I asked him, I said, do you have any opportunity to have coaches that can just coach for part-time and things like that? I spoke to him about it, and then he said, no, at the moment there's nothing. I even forgot about it. So after we were removed from the national team, I just went into doing my own things. I started coaching Amanda Queens. That was a team that was formed by former FAS Vice President Boniface Mwamelo. That's the team that I was coaching, Amanda Queens. Then later on, I coached the men's team, China Bombers. Yes. So that's when he called me. That's when Mr. Mumba, the late, may he so rest in peace, that's when he called me and said, and that was full time. So he just said, just write an application letter fast and bring it to leagues. That's how I wrote an application letter and took it to leagues. And that's why I'm telling you that how God does things. So they wanted a male and a female. And with no teaching background, but just the CV of me working in Namibia with the schools and things like that. But how God does things, He qualifies you where you're not qualified for. And you know, working with these people, the Wazungus, they are so strict with qualifications and everything, but God just made a way because they wanted a man and a woman. Then it so happened that I was the only woman that applied. So I had no competition.
Let's see some of the photos from the Lusaka International Community School. And how was your experience there?
It was great. I think I've grown to who I am today because it was in a different environment, different setup. The professionalism itself had made me grow to who I am today. So and then that's how I started working at leagues as a teacher assistant. Yes, I worked there for 6 years.
And those are some of the visuals there.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's we went for a tournament at the International School of Lusaka.
Okay.
Yes, and the late Mr. Mumba sitting down there. So I worked there for 6 years. Then while working there at leagues, they changed my role to an admin. So reduced some of the classes that I was teaching, and made me admin for the sports department. Then there was a new head of department that came in, and then they changed the structures here and there. So all of us were put as head of our strengths. So my strength was known to be football, because by then, while I was still working at Lakes, I attended the FIFA coaching course for women and another one for youth. Then later on, I obtained my CAF C license in 2014. So because of those, so I became the head of football at Lakes.
Okay.
Yes, then the late Mr. Mumba was head of football for, head of hockey. Then Noah Mabutwe, head of basketball. Yes.
Okay.
Then Tandy, the lady that was just on that photo, she was the head of swimming. Then there's Moses Malama, he was the head of netball.
Moses Malama,
yes.
netball. Okay.
But then by then Malama had not joined here. He started first as a part-time coach, coming in the afternoon just to coach netball before he was given a full-time job. So that's how we worked, and that really helped me a lot. And after working at Leaks for 6 years, it's an English setup. When we came back home, it was difficult for me to coach in Nyanja.
Really?
So the girls would say, Coach Musungu. I would not finish a sentence in Nyanja, but now we're getting there. It's all good.
Okay, so fast forward, how did you feel when you were called to be part of the senior women's national team?
Well, sorry, but I will still reverse, because that's where it started from. So after staying for some time, worked at Leaks, I resigned in 2018. That's the time I got married in 2018. Then I was called back in 2019. That was at under 20, because now I'm coming from under 20. So I was called back at under 20. I just worked there, COSAFA, where we got the silver medal. Yes, then the following year, 2020, we were booted out of the World Cup qualifier by South Africa. So then 2020, towards the end, that's the time, actually 2021, when I was just at home looking for a team to coach, because there was the thing that, why are we having national team coaches who don't have any clubs? And that was me. I was one of those they were talking about. So I started looking for a club to coach. I couldn't find one. I said, you know what, God, if this is not where you want me to be, then fine. I was just seated at home, then received the call.
Just looking at that photo, you see the way you confuse people with your name. So there I can see Florence Mwila.
Yes. So what is happening is that COSAFA cut off my names. So they get from those accreditations. Yes. So yeah. So they just got the first two, obviously. Okay. Yes. Okay. So that time, I just received a call from Mrs. Mwila, our famous Vana Mwila from FAS.
Yeah.
Iwe ulikuisa ZANACO balifaya coach. ZANACO want to launch a women's team. That was around this time, towards the end of March in 2021. So they called me, and I called Mr. Malon Kananda by then. He just asked me a few things here and asked me to send my CV, and I now have a CAF B. I have a CAF B license. I'm one of the few women that have the CAF B licenses. Now that Coach Caro did the CAF B, so we're now 5 women that have the CAF B, yes, because the 4 of us did our CAF B in the men's class. Yes, so that's when he just called me and said, you know what, tomorrow we're starting the team. So they just called, they brought in a coach who had a small team from Kanyama for us just to launch the team. So I was there from the genesis of ZANACO Ladies up to today. It's only clocking. So you started from the scratch to get players and all that. I remember us losing 10-0, whatever 0, and you know the name ZANACO. It felt bad, and I was like, God, where have you brought me? It has taken a lot of work to just put the team where it is today. Really? Yeah, it has. And that's just that March, that's April, when I started at ZANACO. Then I was appointed to be the head coach for the Rest team. When the Copper Queens were preparing for the Olympics, there was Copper Queens versus the Rest. So I was the head coach for the Rest. We scored first, though we lost 4-1. So after some time, I just received an appointment to say I joined the technical. And that time I was breastfeeding. That's why I dedicated that award to my husband. I think even that award I wouldn't have gotten it without his support. Because if he didn't allow me to go leave the child, because that time I was still breastfeeding, and then they give me an appointment letter on a Friday. I'm supposed to be in camp on Saturday.
And that's the award there. Is
yes,
that
that's
your
my husband. Yes, that's my husband.
Mr. Chalesa. Okay, interesting. Strong support system.
Strong support system. I say accountant tends to footballer because he loves football more than me, I think. He loves football more than me.
Okay.
He would sit, he watches almost all the women's games. When I'm out of the country with the national team, he would stream live just for me to see. He would even give Pedro sometimes his phone to stream live if Pedro does not have a phone to use.
Wow.
That's how much he has come up. I remember Red Arrows versus Green Buffaloes when Red Arrows won. Apparently he was there because ZANACO were in Mufulira. So he was there at Mulai Mary Wilombe. She called me and said, coach, taukonda mtima wa dadi, bati coaching, bamuza vochita mpaka alonga tawina na kuwina au mtima taukonda.
Passion.
Taukonda mtima. I'm like, sometimes I feel like, you're exaggerating now. But that's the way it is. So I got excited being appointed to the senior team, but a bit nervous because I was going to a new place where people had already built a bond with each other. They've been together for a long time. And then how do I fit in? But then when you know what you're there for work, so you just need to fit in. And that's how I've been there. So that very year when we came back from the Olympics, I was given to be the head coach for the Copper Queens at COSAFA because it's a woman that's supposed to be there. So that
was a huge responsibility.
A very huge one. And I was like, things like that. But you see, when you're good, you're good. But we're still learning. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm still learning. Because what I mean when you're good is that when you're good to learn, when you're good to adjust, it's easy for you to adjust, because having stayed in a foreign country for 1 year, and that program, you had to live with a family. I remember my host parents saying, Florence, even at my age, I cannot adjust or adapt the way you have adapted staying with us. At my age, I can't, even if they took me to another place. But the way you've adjusted, it feels like we've stayed with you for years. Because I tell myself, if you're not going to just adjust, you will not enjoy and you won't do your best.
Right. So at that tournament at COSAFA, how can you describe it? How can you rate the way you performed and the way the team performed?
Well, being the first time at that level, I think I tried my best. I put in my best, obviously with the guidance from Coach Bruce, because after every game I would go back to him and just get some feedback from him. How was it? Where do I need to work on? And he would encourage me here and there. And so those are the things that I was working on, and that helped me grow. And just to mention about Coach Bruce, the knowledge that he has, I love his style of play and how he wants the players to play, and I've adopted that for ZANACO Ladies. Yes, I've adopted most of it. I even tell him, like, coach, akande katwala ku ZANACO if he introduces
and that's
a new.
Why now you are fifth on the table.
I get it.
Elite Ladies, Green Buffaloes, Red Arrows, Zes Condola Girls. Okay.
Yeah.
So that means you've been relating well. Tell us the story about the Africa Nations Cup in Morocco. I'm sure it was so painful. You were counting yourselves to be in the final.
Wow, that one was it was bad. It was terrible. We all couldn't just believe how it happened, why that decision was made. But then you see, from the usual saying to say the referee's decision is final, but that was a painful one. But we needed to pick ourselves to prove ourselves, and we did prove ourselves playing against the champions, the former champions, Nigeria, and beating them. Because the girls really wanted it. You could see that they really wanted it. They fought for it. And the incentive that the ministry gave is also a morale booster, because it has never happened before. Imagine you getting that much of money before. So you push in because you know that this is how much I'm going to get. Other than just the money, we prayed so much. We prayed, and God was at the center of it all. You could see that some of the games we outplayed. There
was nothing like Jojo putting some things in the socks.
No. But I experienced there at the Africa Cup the Senegal game. Ooh, that was bad.
Tell us, Give us. What happened?
That was okay. I used to hear, but I've experienced it firsthand. I am at the national team not just for the football part, but also for the spiritual part of it for the players. So I take up most of the spiritual programs for the team. So when we were told that these guys have poured something on the pitch, I said, before you go there, let me go there first. Immediately I stepped on the touch line. I could even feel my hair move like that. I just burst into tongues uncontrollably, and I just started walking around our half. I said, you know what, distance is not a barrier. I'll be on our half. I want to go on their side like they did, but we'll just pray. Then guess what happens? After I step out of the pitch and get back to the dressing room, I was weak. So I believe I carried the burden, because that's how the players were supposed to feel. I was so weak that I couldn't even change from my warm-up kit to the kit.
And that shows you are a prayer warrior.
Yes, I am.
You got UCZ. No?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And you won that game by on penalties.
Yes.
And qualified to the semi-finals.
Yes.
Interesting. So as we wind up, what are your thoughts about the World Cup?
It's going to be a tough one, but it's also a good opportunity for us to showcase ourselves and the girls to showcase their talents. I think Zambia has reached at a level where now they're able to compete at that level. We have all seen. I'll just bring us back to our local leagues. It's very competitive. No team is an underdog now. And there's so much competition, looking at all the provinces having games playing. And the Africa Cup was a morale booster to most of the girls out there in the community. They all want to be part of the Copa Queens. So Zambia is there, and we are going to, not to participate, but to compete.
Right. Okay, I have to test you. I want to see if, I know you talked about the injury, but I want to see if you still have football in you. Some ball juggling. But even as you juggle, how far would you want to go in your coaching career? So there is the ball. Show us some ball juggling skills.
Don't embarrass me, come on.
No. They say,
and this ball is very flat.
Yes, it's a trick actually.
It can't even go. It can't even go up.
Show us.
I'll show you.
Yes.
You see, before I do this,
yes,
it doesn't mean that if I have to be a coach, I have to be a best player. No, it's the knowledge up here.
I see.
Yes.
Okay,
so I'll juggle it from my hands.
Yes.
If I do two, we thank God.
Let's count. Let's count. Time starts now.
Come on.
Yes.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, at least you've tried. You've beaten some players who've come here and have done only 5.
Okay.
So Zugo, how far do you want to go in your career? In 15 seconds.
I want to go as far as coaching outside Zambia, or even a men's team within Zambia.
Thank you very much. That's Florence Mwila Chalesa, who was featuring on today's program. She's a ZANACO FC, ZANACO Ladies coach, and also assistant coach for the Copa Queens, and they're going to the World Cup in Australia. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Modern Tapechera Sinkala. See you next time. Goodbye.
I'm sorry it was too long.